Hello.
Hello, Josh.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going, sir? This is Izzy from MMA Jam Live. How you doing this evening?
I'm pretty good, Eddie. What about you?
Pretty good. Thanks for taking time out of your evening to chat with us. I appreciate it.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no doubt. It's our pleasure and an honor for us. Now let's get right into it. You're about 5.5 years removed from your pro MMA debut. Can you talk a little bit about how you got your start in MMA?
Yeah, I always wondered what it'd be like to fight, man. I always would joke around with my buddies, and one night I was at some fights back home, and I actually won a 6-month free gym membership. And at the end of the 6 months, I decided to fight. And this was before it ever became sanctioned. And I actually fought twice in one night and won both fights. And been just addicted ever since.
Now, was there a particular individual like that you looked at, whether a fighter or someone outside the cage, that inspired you to begin training?
Yeah, there's a guy back in my hometown. He actually has his own gym. His name is Rob Nickerson. I was actually following him at the time, and I'd go to his fights and watch, and so just following him, man, and following his career got me interested and had me wondering what it would be like to be a fighter, and winning the 6-month gym membership gave me my shot. So.
Now, combat sports has been in your blood for a while now. You're also a professional boxer. Is boxing something you envision yourself doing again, or are you strictly on the MMA path?
I think, I could see myself taking some boxing matches outside of MMA, as I'm maybe waiting on a phone call to get a fight or something. Definitely get back in the boxing ring because I feel like it's a good way to keep your eyes focused and, keep punches coming at you and always keep it sharp. So, yeah, I definitely think that's a possibility.
Now, this might be a silly question, but, in preparing for MMA, is your boxing going to be different as far as training as opposed to training boxing in actually a boxing ring?
I think I'll like when I was boxing, when I gave up MMA, it was just strictly boxing. I was never doing anything on the ground and, just concentrating mainly on MMA and, always staying in the boxing ring. But, yeah, MMA is my number one priority now, so I'm always going to, stay in the cage and always, be sharp in my tools on the ground. I'm never going to, let that fall by the wayside like I did. So, yeah, it's not going to be any different. I'm just going to, could train MMA, but, maybe through that 4-6 week camp, concentrate just a little bit more on my boxing, but I'm always going to be doing the ground and all of that.
Now, you had one of your highest profile fights came under the Bellator banner where you fought John Giannakonis. What was your mindset like after that fight? In other words, did you think that you would get another shot at a big fight in a big show?
Yeah, actually, it was John Troyer was who I fought. And, yeah, definitely, I thought I'd at least get a call back, and I laid it all on the line. That's actually where that fight is what got me the recognition back in my hometown in the state of Kentucky. Everybody, they still talk about that fight. And I definitely thought, with my performance and with me going out there and laying it all on the line that I would get another shot. But, it just didn't happen. It wasn't in the playing cards.
Now, going on to this season of Tough, when you first heard that about season 19 of The Ultimate Fighter, was it something that you immediately decided to try out for?
Yeah, my career was at a standstill. This was actually like my last shot. The Ultimate Fighter saved my career of fighting in general. So, yeah, as soon as I heard that it was coming to town or coming close to my hometown, I just went for it. I done tried out 3 years before that, made it through made it all the way to medicals, and then they canceled my weight class. So it was definitely something I wanted to give another shot at.
Now, you're very young by any standard. Now, what events led to you feeling as though like this was your last shot?
Just it was hard for me to get fights, and the only time anybody would want to fight me would be like, it was a small show, and it was basically for nothing. $1,000 to be fighting, a guy 20-3 or something, and they just wasn't wanting to pay me. And from a business standpoint, I mean, I was trying to make money and trying to make a career out of it too. I wasn't just going to let a promoter feed me to the wolves, and I was just looking for the right fight. I think the right opportunity, and the manager I had before, they wasn't really doing anything for me, and I just didn't really know where to go from there. And but now that I've got a good manager, and so things are definitely looking uphill for me again.
Definitely. Now we've had several fighters actually on the amateur circuit and pro talking about difficulties in getting fights. I mean, reasons range from lack of opposite, like guys that certain people had about 8 wins in the amateur circuit and nobody wanted to fight someone with 8 wins, or there's a variety of reasons. Did they ever give you any reason as to why? Other than the monetary stuff, which I totally understand, but were there any other legitimate reasons as to why you couldn't get a fight?
Yeah, I just think it was because of my my amateur pedigree, and then my pro record of being 7-2. I think it was just hard to find guys locally and around my area to fight me, and then the only time they wanted to give me a fight was when the odds were against me, and I don't know, it just didn't feel right, I don't care to step up, but if I'm going to step up, I want it to be in the UFC or in Bellator, somewhere, because I know every time I step in the cage that I'm going to put on a show, and I want another, and I want to make sure that when I lay it all on the line, I'm going to, it's going to be worth it to me to, business-wise, to get another fight. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Oh, absolutely. It's an admirable reason as to why you would lay something on the line. It has to be for a good cause, a good reason. Now, this is a question I like asking guys that have come off of Tough, and I'm interested in hearing your response now. When you got word that you were being given the opportunity to fight your way into the house, what was going through your mind? Where were you? Like, stuff like that. What were you doing when you found out that you were going to make it, that you were given the opportunity to fight your way into the house?
I was actually sitting by the scales at the weigh-ins of Tough. They brought me on as an alternate, so that made it a little harder for me. Not knowing if I was going to get a shot or not. So I went in there and I cut all the weight that I was supposed to cut, and I just hoping I was getting an opportunity. And the guy who I replaced, man, he was 4 pounds over, and he had another hour to cut it, but he couldn't do it. He couldn't make the weight. And they walked up and was like, "Hey, are you on weight?" And I was like, "Yep." I was like, "Well, here's your chance, man. Step on the scales." And so, yeah, my opportunity, I didn't know anything for sure until the day of the weigh-ins.
Oh, man. You're actually the second, I can't remember who it was that told me a similar story from this season of Tough, that they were, they were just on standby. They were an alternate, so they were just waiting there. And yeah, there you go. It was Hector. That's right. I talked to Hector way back months ago, and man, that had to be the worst. Not only you going there, and you don't even know whether you even get a chance to fight.
Exactly. Hector, they flew me out and let me stay for 2 or 3 days, but I never did know. Hector, they had flew him in at the last minute, like the night before, because I guess his opponent, I don't know, he done something. He got hurt somehow. And, yeah, he had a real weird story. But yeah, definitely, man. It not knowing, it's mental. This whole fight game is mental, and not knowing things for 100% can play effect on you in the mental aspect of things, I feel like.
That gives me a new profound respect for you guys, not knowing. you're talking about last minute things. I don't know where I would be at mentally. I'm a pretty mentally strong individual, but I don't know if I would be able to handle something like that you're like, you don't even know. And then the disappointment, if let's say it didn't happen, I mean, and then you have to take that long ride home, you know, and like, wow, I was there. I was in the facility.
Yeah, it would have been bad. You know, I cut 22 pounds, and you know, it was rough. I was out of shape going into the house. So yeah, it would have been devastating for me. But you know, I'm just you know, thankful and feel blessed to get the opportunity.
Now, you defeated John Poppy by triangle armbar in round 3. At what moment after that fight did it dawn on you that you were now getting the opportunity to achieve, you know, a dream?
I think once I stepped into the Ultimate Fighter house, I was like, man, this is surreal, you know. Because you know, like I said, the whole time before I never did know, so it was never, you know, mentally it just wasn't really prepared for it, and you know, I think it was when I finally walked into the Ultimate Fighter house and, you know, laid my stuff down on the bed and sat down and I took everything in. I was like, man, you know, I've made it. You know, I've fulfilled one of my goals, you know, one of my dreams.
You know, it's interesting you say that. Like most guys say, you know, it hits me right away. But I'm thinking to myself, like exactly what you said. I mean, how, like, sometimes it's just too difficult to understand that moment. But when you walk into the house, obviously everything starts coming to you. And you're like, wow, like I'm in here, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, and then it's a good feeling too. I mean, I sit there and watch, you know, 10 or 11 seasons, and you know, I remember first getting into the sport and watching Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner, and like, man, you know, that would be awesome to be on that show one day. And you know, there I am 5, 6 years later, or I guess 8 years later, and you know, I got my chance.
Now, in episode 5, you dropped a highly competitive majority decision to the eventual winner, Corey Anderson. What, in your opinion, went wrong for you in that fight on that day?
Honestly, just I think not being in shape. Maybe not having my coaches around. You know, the coaches that know me and know my fighting style. You know, my advice from my coaches was go out there, don't touch gloves, or touch gloves, don't even jab, throw a hard right hand. You know, and I just kept looking for the one big shot instead of setting everything up with my jab. And, you know, I should have made Corey chase me the whole fight and, you know, basically play tag, you know, touch him and get away. And I didn't do that. And, you know, he come out with his hand raised and, you know, and my hat's off to him. And that kid's going to be a superstar. And, you know, he's a very tough guy. And, you know, and I'm happy for him.
Now, in hindsight, is there any comfort at all, and this might sound a little ridiculous, but maybe not. In hindsight, is there any comfort in knowing that you lost a close decision to the eventual winner?
Yeah, you know, watching the finale, it definitely hit me, man. And I think, you know, even around the house, my wife could tell I was a little upset about it. You know, she kept saying, what's wrong, and asking me, and I was just, man, deep down, you know, I was pissed at myself and, you know, just wish I could have took the opportunity a little bit more serious and, you know, come there in a little bit, you know, come to the show in a little bit better shape. So, yeah, man, it was definitely disappointing. You know, it was hard to watch.
Now, you've talked a lot here about, you know, being out of shape, but I've noticed that you're actually started, you know, cutting to 185, like trying it out. How is that coming along?
It's coming good, you know. It's I've done it over the past 5 or 6 months. I really got serious a couple months ago when, you know, I decided, hey, man, this is the weight cut class I belong in. And, you know, for me, it's a lifestyle change. I can't have too many cheat days or my weight will just shoot on up. So, yeah, I mean, it's a lifestyle change, but, you know, it's something, you know, I feel like 85, I take my career more seriously. But I guess you could say the whole reason I fought at 205 when I was, you know, back in the day was because I wasn't taking it serious, you know, and it was hard to get fights, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. It was just, it was hard for me to stay focused, especially after the Bellator, and then I turned around and lost in the XFC. So it was just hard for me to stay focused at that point, and not knowing, having everybody questioning my career and, hey, what are you going to do now? It was hard for me.
Now
that
ideally, Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, ideally, what would you walk around as? Like, if you're making the cut to 185, what would you like the walk around weight to be?
Back in the day, I would walk around at like 210, and I'd be kind of a chubby 210, and I'd always diet down to 200. Right now, I'm a pretty lean 210, but I would like to get on down to 205 at least, and make a 20-pound cut. I don't like cutting any more than 20% of my body weight. So, but 205, 200. It seems like it's been pretty hard to do, to walk around at 200 consistently, but I definitely think 205 is the goal for me. So I'm setting 210 right about now, which is a good weight. I feel like I can get ready in 4 weeks if I needed to, and be setting right at 205, between 200 and 205 to make a good cut, make an easy cut for me.
Now, overall, as far as your experiences on the Ultimate Fighter, on Team Penn, how would you describe that experience overall?
It was an awesome experience. I mean, you get to live in the house with some of the best up and coming 205ers and 185ers. I learned a lot. From nutrition to just being in the ring and the cage with them guys, and and having some of the greatest coaches in your corner. I mean, it was an awesome experience, man, and I loved every minute of it.
Now, where can we find you next? I mean, do you have anything in the works, anything planned? Ideally, what would be next for you?
Well, right now I'm looking. It's my first fight in MMA in 8 months since the show, and my first fight at 85 in like 3 years. So I'm looking to go, maybe a little bit smaller show. I'm possibly looking to go back home to fight from my hometown. I feel like they deserve that, and so yeah, that's what's possibly next for me is next month going back home, fighting in Lexington, and then from there, I'm looking to step it up a little bit and get another win, and hopefully get a call back in the UFC.
I hope so. I mean, there's been a lot of guys on this season that definitely have deserved to get an additional fight, but it seems as though like lately every season of Ultimate Fighter you have less and less people making it to the finale. I don't know if it's by design or whatever, Dana White is thinking on that. Yeah,
the thing is, I know he wasn't really happy with any of the 205 or anybody's performance really on the show, but if they go back and look at my track record and look at my history, man, I've never been stopped. I've always, of all the fights, I just about get fight of the night every time. So I always show up, man. I always show up to win, and even the fights that I do lose, everybody always remembers them. So, hopefully they'll give me my chance, and I'll go out there and I'll put on a show, and they won't regret having me on the card.
Hopefully soon. Hopefully you get that recognition you deserve. Before we let you go, Josh, where can we find you on Twitter and or Facebook?
Yeah, you can find me on on my fan page at Josh the Hillbilly Heartthrob Clark, and Twitter and Instagram at Josh Clark MMA.
Definitely, we'll definitely get that out there, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening, Josh, to chat with us here for a few minutes.
And I appreciate you guys having me. If you don't mind, I'd like to just give out a shout out to all of my sponsors and all the guys who've been helping me out and helping me along the way since the show.
Absolutely, go ahead.
And that's
the stage is yours.
And that's Zion X, Sports Food Incorporation, Iron Jaw Mouthguard, Coffee Bean Direct, Sopalicious, and always J Fresh Entertainment. Jay's been my manager now since the show. He's an awesome guy, and, man, I can't thank him enough.
Absolutely, and I've been a thorn at his side for about a year now. So, yep, he's been dealing with it.
Awesome. Well, keep him in line.
Oh yeah, I have to check him every now and then. He gets out of line. I gotta, put my hand up there and let him know.
Let him know who's boss. That's right, man. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
Definitely, and best of luck to you. And you always have a home here, just so you know.
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it.
Take care and have a great weekend.
Awesome. You too, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.